welcome to Freedom Frontier. In a time when our nation's history is under assault, it's necessary to preserve our heritage, not only for ourselves, but for our future generations. In a time of endless entertainment and distraction, it's easy to forget the story of who we are and how we came to be. It's not a perfect story, but one that tells the triumphs and tragedies of a country and a people that are still battling over what it means to be an American. One of the best ways to keep history real in our minds is to see it performed in real life. And I had the opportunity recently to observe an annual tradition in the mountains of Virginia that educated the senses on what it was like to fight and die in America's Civil War. This was the North-South Skirmish Association's Nationals in Winchester, Virginia. My good friend Paul from the 1st Richmond Rifles team invited me to the championship. Paul's been shooting for a number of years with the N-SSA, and I was always impressed with his knowledge of Civil War history and culture. He comes from a family that fought for the South in the war, like almost any family in Virginia, with a long lineage here, and is one of the many people in the Commonwealth keeping the memories of the sacrifices that the men and their families made during the war. The N-SSA is an association dedicated to doing just that. They've been bringing the smoke and clamor of black powder rifle fire to the hills across the East Coast for decades now. All firearms are strictly regulated by the Association for Historical Accuracy. Divisions include musket, smoothbore, carbine, and repeaters. And there's even a cannon division for those teams with deeper pockets. Due to other plans, I could only spend one day at the competition, but it was enough to get me hooked. I was most impressed by the uniforms on display. It makes you wish we live in a time when you could show a little bit more flair. Once you fire a Civil War weapon and see competitors online firing, you get a sense of what it must have been like on a Civil War battlefield. My own black powder rifle fires a .58 caliber mini ball. It weighs in about 460 grains, which is 8 times the weight of most .556 rounds, and 2.5 times the diameter. During the Civil War, men often stood shoulder to shoulder, firing these enormous rounds at each other, causing massive tissue damage at a time when battlefield medicine was in its infancy. If you survived the volleys and got through the shells exploding and the canister shot, it was possible you'd eventually have to engage in exhausting and terrifying hand-to-hand combat. Seeing what is merely a recreational representation of a Civil War battlefield only makes you shudder at the thought of what a real battlefield must have been like. Listening to conversations I overheard while at the event, everyone there had a lot more in common than their respective sides had in the past. It was an interesting thing to notice. It's almost as if things have become so bizarre in our political climate today that the differences between North and South were minimal by comparison, and I think that says a lot. The vibes from the Civil War are still strong in Virginia. It's one of the many reasons I love living here. It was such a defining time for our nation. We were torn in two, with brave men fighting on both sides, but we came back together afterward. Today, the colors of the blue and gray still are worn by soldiers in the Virginia Army National Guard. It was these men of Virginia wearing that patch that charged the shores of Normandy under the flag of the United States, shoulder to shoulder with each other. Only a short time ago, the memory of the men who fought in the Civil War was being erased. Statues were being torn down or defaced, and this wasn't just Southern generals, though it started there. It was also the statues of the Founding Fathers and even of Lincoln himself. With the election of President Trump and the return of the Confederate Army base names and the restoration of certain Confederate monuments, there's a possibility that we can keep our heritage from being toppled and defaced. Whether or not this will be a lasting feature of our public life is yet to be seen. We must keep alive the history of what we've gone through as a nation, or we'll end up losing ourselves. And that's one reason we should be keeping history alive and supporting organizations such as the N-SSA. I've been busy with a move back to Virginia and getting my feet underneath me. I'll be putting out some more firearms content, though we'll see how that goes with the recent round of elections here in Virginia. But I'm also going to be branching out into some other topics, such as politics, during these interesting times. Please give us a follow or drop any comments you might have down below. Until next time, thanks for watching.